Grant, a dog that was tossed out of a car onto the curb in a cage almost a week ago, has passed away.
The whole staff here worked so hard, and Ramapo Bergen Animal Shelter, to get him through this, and in the end his body just gave up. The severity of everything was just so bad that he couldn't pull through.
When I saw Grant, he was already in bad shape. His bones were sticking out, he had been completely shaved, and he was very weak, very frail, and he couldn't stand on his own. The nurse actually had to hold him up, and his doctor believes that he was just hungry.
When you reintroduce food, he's been fine, and I think he suffered consequences of that, of feeding was part of it in the end, and I also think that he also ended up with some fluid in his lungs, which was another complication, and he ended up just going into shock.
He had been starved for months on end, and they were trying to feed him food, but it just wasn't enough, and in the end, he just passed away.
In the end, he was surrounded by the love of the staff, the love of the community, and that's what we have to find comfort with, is that we did the best we could for him, and he was in love.
Say bye, babe.
Bye,
Bye, babe.
Bye, Grant.
Bye, Grant. Bye. The investigation is currently active. Authorities have not named a person of interest, although they do have a suspicion, because they want to make sure that the person who was seen getting out of the car and dragging Grant's cage and throwing it onto the curb is the same person who actually neglected Grant.
You had said this when you reported on this last week, that there was a grandmother that had been in the hospital. She said it was my granddaughter who was driving the car. Do they have any idea if this was a case of an elderly woman that was sick that couldn't take care of the dog?
Well, it's an active investigation. They're not releasing any more information at the moment.
This story is horrible, but there's a silver lining here where the suffering that Grant went through for so long, his last days on earth were pretty good, and he was loved and taken care of, so hopefully he went peacefully and doesn't have to suffer anymore.
And I just appreciate the police doing their due diligence, making sure that they have the right person before, animal rights activists, especially in this state, will go after them and crucify whoever it is. So hopefully we get to the bottom of it, but they get the right person, and that's what I keep on hearing from all of this.
Well, and if it turns out that you're talking about an elderly person that couldn't take care of, like you've heard story upon story about this, it would seem insane to me that that would lead to jail time, but I guess we'll see how this plays out.